UIG team. They're exactly right, aren't they?
Yes.
Love is all you need. And we're that love, aren't we? And so in a very real sense, all we need to do is to express the love that we are. And that's all the world needs. Cher and I have a recollection that we'd like to share with you this morning. The first time we spoke here, remember, was November 17th, 2013. Some of you may remember that. Our talk was entitled, All Fired Up. Remember that? It was about 3 Jewish lads that King Nebuchadnezzar had befriended from his Facebook account and threw in the furnace. Remember? Well, there was something about you guys that Sunday that touched Cher and I deeply. We talked about the path that we got here. That was part of the path of our getting here, November 17, 2013. Because the something special about you was your uniqueness. And I'm sure that our guests this morning are feeling that same uniqueness that we felt months ago. We sense an energy that was uncharacteristic of most Unity churches. You're different.
Yay.
And it is no small statement to make. And Cher and I honestly believe what I'm about to say. You are at the cutting edge of the new Unity movement here. And that's why we're here. Because we felt it. It was here already, blossoming before we got here. We sense an energy that was uncharacteristic in most Unity churches, and your enthusiasm was and continues to be contagious, joyful. The atmosphere is one of openness, inclusiveness, and expectancy. We came here all fired up, and you guys matched our Fahrenheit. Ever think about it that way?
Yep.
As a matter of fact, that's exactly how we described it on our drive back to Durham that day. Renee was with us that time too, and I looked at both of them and I said, you know what? Those wonderful people matched our Fahrenheit. It's a good feeling as speakers to know that you're speaking to an audience like that. We know now that you were in your back to the future mode. When you think about it, as you looked at what you wanted to be, and the way to get to what you want to be is to each consecutive moment of now make the right choices, the right thoughts, take the right actions to get there. And you were obviously doing that as a community, and we felt that. You were manifesting your vision in real time. You were stepping into a territory that's not even on the radar in most Unity churches. Sad to say, but true. When we were invited then to speak again on March 4th, we saw how far you had come as a spiritual community. Our chat with Pat Moore that day about this community-centered model that you were operating under excited Cher and I. As a matter of fact, we had told each other, sworn to each other, that we would not go back into the pulpit ministry unless a ministry woke up and was doing what you're doing here with the new model. That's true. And that's part of the reason why we're here, I'm happy to say. We thought about how nice it would be to be part of that. And now Cher and I are matching your Fahrenheit.
Yay.
Here's what's going on here at Unity Greensboro. You, your board of directors, the staff, and the teams have created a network of mutuality that's woven into a single fabric of wholeness.
Say that again.
You have created here at Unity in Greensboro a network of mutuality that's woven into a single fabric of wholeness. And it's genuine. And it's real. and you can feel it. Now that may sound like I'm talking about a national sports team that wants a national championship, or a national election candidate that wants to take his party places, or a nonprofit's aim for a national presence, but it really is true here. The network of mutuality, inclusiveness, and respect that you have created here that focuses on a community-centered, mission-driven, the way you do business here, is absolutely cutting edge in the unity movement. No one else is doing it. Not even the transformational leadership that they've had and they talk so much about. And that's what excites Cher now about being here with you. It truly is a paradigm shift that's taking place here at a grassroots level in Greensboro, North Carolina, in a unity community. Now that's what you started here. Along with the new leadership model that you've created here, there's another contribution that we hope we make. We've sort of alluded to it in our talks as we've come here, and I'm going to say it again today. Unity needs to bump up their theology. We've lost our differentiator in the marketplace as a spiritual movement. And we're not satisfied with that, and thankfully you guys aren't satisfied with that either. And that's good news for the movement, and it's certainly good news for here. And we believe that between the new model and the metaphysical theology that we're talking about, which is the bumped up version, that we can help you build a phenomenal spiritual practice, each and every one of you. And help you build a ministry here that will be the model for the entire new unity movement that's taking place. I honestly believe that.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yep, we can affirm that.
As a movement, unity has lost sight of who and what it is. It seems to have forgotten its metaphysical roots. As a movement, has lost touch with Charles and Myrtle Fillmore's interest in science and the power of affirmative prayer, which we just experienced here today, and unitized education, adding the unity flavor to the education. It needs to broaden its healing methodologies. Its music must fit an aggressive theology that's unapologetic for its metaphysical roots and its mystical bandwidth. All of that you are doing here. Charlotte has created a cutting-edge education program. Elaine constantly changes the wording and words and music and songs, right? To make sure it fits with the new theology.
Yes.
Michael and Sarah have created an eclectic healing ministry, which will continue to offer us enough diversity so that we can take care of people's healing needs, no matter who they are and where they are and what they're going through. And that's important to be able to do that. Rich is wonderful as our administrator.
Yes.
Yes.
He thoroughly understands the new model, and we have absolute unanimous support from Frances and her board in order to do this here. So, the future truly is now, and we're part of that. I can say this with absolute certainty, that the best way to predict the future is to affirm it. Constantly. Unity's co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore, reminded us over 70 years ago that to only affirm what you want to manifest. Here's the power of Myrtle's statement. You don't affirm something, as I mentioned earlier, to make it true. You affirm it because it's true already at the level of spirit. And spirit is what we are, what you are, individually in human clothing. Our spirit is our higher self, our higher essence, our core self, our authentic self. is really who we really are. We are not separate from spirit. Many people only have a consciousness of separation. There is no separation. You are God expressing at the point of view. All of us are. And the next child that is born will be God expressing at the point of that child. And as Todd reminded us last week, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, one that we have chosen, by the way. Again, that means that our physical bodies are simply the quantum containers that chauffeur our spirit around. Think about it. That's all they are. They are merely our biological addresses, our somatic spacesuits. Think about that. That's all the bodies are. So we've got to take care of course, because we've got to get around here on the earthplane. But that's not who we are. So here's the metaphysics of Gödel's statement. We manifest what we affirm because thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. That's the principle. Now what does that mean? Produce what after their kind? They produce similar thoughts, homogeneous thoughts, associated thoughts, congruent thoughts. And so be careful what you think, because thoughts are thought forms. And we manifest what we affirm and what we think constantly. And so the more Christed our thoughts are, the less our wait time will be between what we desire and what we manifest. Think about that. And you certainly want to manifest something that works towards your greater good. And the way to do that is to keep your thoughts at a higher octave, at a more Christed, spiritual level. And you will never be disappointed. Cher and I's privilege as your ministers is to help you reduce your wait time. Our intention as your ministers is to help you live at the speed of your Christ consciousness every day. And our purpose in life as your ministers is to help you to go back to the future with every thought, every choice, every word, and every action that you take, so that you can build, all of you, individually, a phenomenal spiritual practice as you work towards your higher good, the higher good of unity in Greensboro, and the higher good of unity as a movement. And for that, we are proud to be called your ministers.
Does he not have a way with words?
Yes.
So I get to follow that.
But one of the things we like to do, and the reason we like to speak together, is we want to share with you the metaphysics, and we also want to be sure that you take away a practical application. Like, how do we make this work right here, right now? What can we do? So that's what I'm going to do this morning. That's my part. And I wanted to start by just, with our title. How many remember the trilogy Back to the Future that starred Michael J. Fox and Marty McFly? Yeah, some of you remember that. It was back in 1985. It was set and filmed. Some of you weren't even born then, right? But it was a long time ago. It was a great movie. Me too. I saw it on reruns. But here's the essence of it, just in case anybody missed the show. It actually set in 1985, and Michael J. Fox, as Marty McFly, accidentally takes his sidekick Doc's time machine, which is this magnificent modified DeLorean DMC-12. I had to write that down because I'm not a car person. But this amazing DeLorean had been totally remodeled as a time machine. Marty was in it, had an accident, ended up back in 1955. The whole for part one of this trilogy is him trying to get back to the future. Now, while he's in 1955, he has the opportunity of meeting the people who are going to be his parents in 1985. And he realizes as he goes about his escapades that even one small choice on his part could dramatically transform the future as he knew it. Do you already see some metaphysical
Yeah.
implications here? Great. Well, I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but he does make it back. Things were changed rather dramatically, but for the good. And then comes part 2. Now, in part 2, Doc and Marty actually go into the future in order to keep Marty's future son from ending up in jail. Okay. It's very confusing, but if you haven't seen it, it is worth a peek. It's really clever. But here's the eerie part, and this is what Bill and I thought was so amazing. The future that they went to in the movie was actually set in the year 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's like next year, like 6 months away. That was the future that seemed so far away when the movie was filmed in 1980s. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
So the message is the future gets here a whole lot faster than any of us could have imagined. I actually have a little note written in the front of my calendar, and it says, warning, great big. Dates in this calendar are closer than they appear. So it's amazing what can happen. Well, we want to go back to the future, and of course the future, as Bill alluded to, is the vision that you have already created. You've been there. You had your appreciative inquiry. You've had a lot of work in terms of planning your leadership team and this whole new model. And you've looked at yourselves and you've gotten involved at an incredible level of involvement. And so you've seen the future that you want. And now what you've already started, and we are proud to continue, is moving back to that future. How do we get there? With every single step. And so what I want to share this morning is how you can get back to the future with a little plan. And I always like people to have some way to remember it. And so we're going to use the word back, B-A-C-K, because we want to go back to the future. And you will be getting, when you leave, a handout that Renee's going to actually be in the back and hand them out for us. And it actually has the model I'm about to share with you, just so you'll be able to pick it up and take it with you. So let's look at what the steps are. These are some things you can do. It starts with the B. The B reminds us to believe. Believe in your vision. It's not enough to just want it. It's being grounded in the belief of knowing that it's true. It is there, and you stand in your truth. No wavering. I'm reminded of this incredible story that comes from Matthew. And it's one of my favorite stories of Jesus. I just love this. And I'm only going to share like one little snippet of the whole big story. But the story is about when Jesus came down off the mountain and walked out on the water to go to the boat where his disciples already were. So first thing is amazing is that he came down off the mountain and actually walked across the beach and walked right on the water as if it was just walking down this aisle. He was able to just keep on walking. And there is a metaphysical implication there, that when we are in our highest, most elevated state of consciousness, when we're in that place of high connection, which is what the mountaintop represents, we can always rise above any of the turbulence of the world of appearance. No matter what the world throws at us, when we're in that place, we can rise above it. And that's what Jesus was able to do without even thinking. He walked across the water out toward the boat, and Peter sees him coming. And if any of you know anything about Peter, he was real impetuous. And so he wanted to join Jesus and do the same thing. So what did he do? He jumps out of the boat and starts walking across the water toward Jesus. And he's doing it. He's excited. And then he realizes, wait a minute. I'm walking on the water. I'm not supposed to be able to do this. And immediately he started to sing. Now, I just want to know if anybody can get the metaphysics of that. Yeah, you got it, right? I probably don't even have to tell you. But isn't it amazing? Have you ever done it? You get really excited about an idea. And you jump in with both feet, and you get started, and you are so psyched, you're not thinking about anything but doing it. And you're succeeding. And then all of a sudden, it's like, what am I thinking? I can't do this. Or this is too hard. And we start fear and doubt, and we start having problems. We start sinking. But what did Peter do? He immediately, as he started sinking, he said, Lord, save me. He just yelled out for save. Jesus, what are you doing just standing there? Help me, right? Anybody guilty of that? When we start sinking, when we have those problems, that's when we go to headquarters. That's when we remember, oh, we've got affirmative prayer. Oh, we've got affirmations. Oh, we've got stuff we can use. Instead of making it our daily place of business, We just use it when we get in trouble. And it's the first place we go to. But here's what's really cool. It doesn't matter because we can still make the connection. Always able to do it. Immediately, Jesus reached out his hand in the story and lifted Peter up. And he said, oh, you have little faith. I mean, I can just hear him now. Dude, why did you doubt?
Yeah.
Why do we doubt? Why do we doubt? So, B is believe. We want to just nail in that belief and not let ourselves waver. B, believe. And then we've got the A. The A is act. Because it's not enough to believe. You think about our fifth principle. You've got the principles in your bulletin. Fifth one, what does it tell us? It's not enough to know, right? Yeah. It's not even enough to believe. You've got to live it. We have to live the truth we know. Which means we've got to put feet to what we do. And you already do that. This is like preaching to the choir, the whole choir. But Bill and I encourage each of you to just even dig a little deeper. Look within yourself and ask yourself, what are my gifts? What are my talents? What makes my heart sing? And then ask yourself, how can I bring that here and use it? And how can I use it in my life? So we encourage you, act. Put feet to what you believe. So we want to get back to the future by believe, and then act, and then we have the C. The C is create. And what we're inviting you to create is a regular spiritual practice. I'm just going to tell you, you might as well get used to hearing that, because you are going to hear that a lot from Bill and I. We think it's a non-negotiable, a regular, disciplined, daily spiritual practice. Time, we call it headquarters. That's what Unity calls it. That's like the loving term for that place of divinity within. Time for affirmation, time for prayer, time for meditation, time for you to create that practice that says, I can call on this at any moment and I'm prayed up. I'm good to go. It's there and it's the way I do business. So we encourage you to create that regular spiritual practice. So we've got believe, we've got act, we've got create, and that brings us to the K. The K stands for know. We want you to know that you know that you know you are God expressing. Not wishing, not hoping, but knowing. Standing in that truth of knowing who you are. That's what's going to get us on back to the future. And so think about what we say, back to the future. B is what? Believe. A is act. C is create. And K is know. Back to the future. And we, Bill and I, thank you for allowing us to be on this journey with you, because it's an exciting journey. And we want to assure you that with every step all of us take together, with every class, with every healing experience, with every prayer that's given, with every musical song and performance that's done, with every educational opportunity that's offered for our children and our youth, for every special service that's given, for every sacred opportunity we have, for every fun activity, and even every challenge, no matter what. Together, we are using the truth we know to go back to the future. We are, as a community, Unity in Greensboro, but even more importantly, you, as an individual, as a spiritual being having a human experience, you are on your way back to the future. And we are so proud to be part of that journey as together we walk the spiritual path on practical feet. Blessings.